So this is a shortened version of the Mole Highway that I posted in the Mole Highway video. And you can make yourself a copy of that. You can add how to change molecules into atoms and vice versa as well. And you can soup it up any way you like. But this will go into the quiz with you. It will not go into the test with you. So you kind of got to use it to start with and then go from there. Now, I'm going to use this one to do a couple of the example questions on page 84. The first one on page 84 says, how many moles of nitrogen atoms are there in 5.0 times 10 to the 17th nitrogen atoms? That's a lot. So we start off kind of like in a chemist or a physics question where we're writing down what we want. They want the moles, so I put question mark moles. And it says, and it's nitrogen atoms, I could even specify that. And then it tells me that I am given 5.00 times 10 to the 17th nitrogen atoms. So I know that these numbers go together, they're both nitrogen atoms. And I want the moles, and I'm given how many I have. So this is, I could say that this is particles of nitrogen atoms. So I start with what I'm given, I write down my, and I could just write E17 because that's how you're going to put it in your calculator. Multiply it by, and I want moles, so I'm going to write moles down here. Now, I have particles of these guys, so I'm going to write particles and moles, so that moles is what I'm left with, and particles is going to cancel out because it's top and bottom. And I know that particles is here, moles is here. I'm going from particles to moles, so I'm going to go along this lane because it's got the little arrow going the right way, which means I'm going to use the conversion factor times 1 mole per 6.02 E23 particles. So that's how I'm using this little mole highway to set it up, and it's maybe a little easier to remember than trying to cancel out the units. I'm going from particles to moles, there's my arrow, there's my conversion. Now if I work this all out in my calculator, I remember that either I use the E button or I put brackets in here, otherwise you're going to end up really messing up your number because you're going to go 6.01, or time this divided by 6.02 and then multiply it by 10 to the 23. So either use your E button or put brackets around whatever's on the bottom. Okay, we worked that out, and you should be able to type this in and get 8.31. Whoops, that's a mucked up 8. 8.31 times 10 to the negative 7 moles. I'm just going with the number that's in your book, but make sure that you can do it in your calculator so that you get the answer that's in the book, so that you know that you're punching it in correctly. Okay, so that is the first example on page 84. Now, the second example gives me more information, and I like it because it's going to sort of reinforce the conversion concept. So it says a light source emits 8.5 times 10 to the 17th photons per second. So I'm going to write that down. I've got 8.50 E17, and the value that it's giving me is photons, which is a particle, per second. A photon is a particle of light. Yay, they even tell you. How many moles, I want moles, of photons are emitted by the light source in 1 minute. So how many moles in 1 minute? So basically that's moles per minute, which means I'm going to be going from photons per second to moles per minute, which means I have to convert seconds to minutes, and I have to convert photons to moles. So let's get that set up. I've got 8.50 E17 photons in 1 second, and I want to multiply that. And it doesn't really matter which one I choose to change first, but I'm going to have to change two things in order to get to the moles per minute that I want in my answer. So I'm going to change the seconds and minutes because that's just who I am. I want to get rid of the seconds. They're on the bottom, so I put them on the top. Now they're on top and bottom. They'll cancel out. Good to go. I know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. Oh, look, my minutes are on the bottom. Yay! So I'm going to leave that the way it is, and I'm going to look at photons. I don't want photons. They're not in my answer. So I'm going to put photons where they aren't, which is on the bottom. I've got my photons here. And what do I want to change them into? I want to change them into moles. Now, photons are simply particles. I could even write a photon equals a particle. So I can use them interchangeably. So I know that I've got 1 mole. So here I'm doing particles again. So I want to go from particles to moles. So I'm going to go that way on my highway. I'm going to use that. I've got my 1 mole, and I'm going to put it over 6.02 E23 photons. Sorry, that's a little bit squishy. When I plug this into my calculator, I can just go 8.50 E17 times 60. I can hit equals and then divide it by 6.02 E23, or I can just run it all in one calculation. It'll still work. So when I do that, I should end up with 8.47 times 10 to the negative 5. So 8.47 times 10 to the negative 5 moles per minute of photons. That's a lot. It's a lot of, well, actually, still a lot, even though it's a small number here. Did I get that? Yeah, I did. Yeah, we'll go into that later. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. We've got 2 conversions here in a row. Doesn't matter. It's like that pigs and ducks and stuff one that we did. It doesn't matter how many you've got as long as your units cancel out. So I look at my units. Photons cancel out top and bottom. Seconds cancel out top and bottom. I'm left with moles over minutes, which is exactly what I want. Run the calculation and you're good to go.